thought I would make a video today to speak a little bit about something else that is often very misunderstood in the West. There's a verse in the Bible, I had to look it up, 2 Timothy 2:15, about training to show yourself approved. And when I graduated college, I realized that there were holes here and there in my education. And I initially was angry at teachers. I was angry at a system. The professor for this class wasn't good, whatever. And yet it hit me that it's my responsibility. Anything that I haven't learned or that I wish to learn, it is my responsibility. And so I went through this period where I went back and learned for myself, studied for myself, looked for myself at all that I could recall that I didn't know, all that seemed confusing to me. And that began a extended time of inquiry. And so I want to talk today about what is Sharia law. It is a term that has sent chills up the spine of many Americans, perhaps many Europeans, I don't know. But I certainly was so scared about it. I remember being assigned in civics and government class to debate this. Certainly it comes up in the West in regards to women's rights. What is Sharia law? And yet, if you go to the primary sources, the biggest one being the Quran itself, and the places I've gone after that have been a lot of Sufi texts and a lot of texts from great beings throughout history that lived in those cultures. What do they say that Sharia is? Is it this scary thing that is meant to, its whole purpose is to annoy women? Sole purpose in life? No. Sharia, what does the word mean? The word means the way to the water. And that's not waterboarding. That is not fights of men and women. The way to the water. In America, gospel tradition, the African tradition, I live in the South, so the tradition here is very strong. There's a song that we grew up singing, and people in my community grew up singing. It was "Shall We Gather at the River." There are a lot of worship songs in a lot of Christian churches and various traditions that speak about the river. We talk about a river and water flowing from God, from the temple. In Islam, the very opening chapter of the Quran, the holy book, speaks about a path, the Sirat al-Mustaqim, this way through this life. And obviously it is speaking out about something that is outside of 3D reality. And so how do you speak of that? People will say, to put it in some kind of language that you can understand here, they'll call it light. Sometimes they call it a road, and sometimes they call it water. Sometimes those things are all actually talking about the same thing on the inner. If you go to Elijah, when he has his visions, his great visions, it talks about he is sitting next to a river. And these images and these things about being by the river, standing on the river, walking on the water, walking in the water, coming beside the water, they're all connected to the way that we're supposed to go. They're all connected to revelation. They have some sort of connection to who we are. Remember, we are mostly made of water. So when we're coming to the river, the supply of water, or coming to stand by or sit by the water, it's also a way of talking about us connecting to our true selves and our true nature. And great ones throughout history have left keys. They have left hints. They have left things that they've learned along the way to help them, to help future people to know how to walk. We know from nutrition that there are things to eat and things not to eat. Doesn't mean that you can't, but if your goal is to be in optimal health, then there are suggestions along the way. And the Sharia law is the outer form of the practices. And if this path is a path to build yourself into light and to remove all the blockages to that light, then some of it will be keys on maybe it's a good idea to live this way. Maybe it's a good idea to pray in this way or at this time. Maybe it's a good idea not to go here. Maybe it's a good idea to speak in this manner. Maybe it's a good idea not to eat this food. And remember, this path is a path that is foundationed in mercy and in love. And so everything that is given to us is there to help us. We cannot understand it. You can have a toddler that does not understand why the mother wants the toddler to hold on to a handrail. And the toddler can be very offended by it, doesn't want to hold on to anything, and yet then falls down. Doesn't realize that the mother is asking the child to hold this, to do this practice because it will help you, it will protect you, it will keep you from falling, or it will keep you safe. And that is the meaning behind Sharia. I've heard it explained in the West, or likened as an analogy to following the Tao. That's a very kind of loose way of talking about it. You are, in other words, these are outer practices that align you with what will bring, I say this Christian way, what will bring heaven to earth, that will align you in with true nature, with light, that will allow you to tread very lightly on the earth and live graciously, that will keep your conscience very clear and clean. You want a clean heart. You want a clear mind so that you can receive wisdom from within, from above. You want to be flexible. You want to always be ready if there is an instruction to tend someone somewhere. And so that these things are the original intent behind the Sharia. When you are growing a vessel of light to become light, in New Testament, where is it? When Jesus speaks about preparing your lamp, and you need to get oil and all these things. Well, you also need a vessel for it. And it needs to be sturdy and strong, but it also needs to be clean and clear. Does it have to be? You can try some other. It helps. All this is to help you. And there's so much distraction in the earth today. There is so much in the way of tech, in the way of violence, in the way of please sit and do nothing, or please continue to buy this thing, or grow towards this trend, or follow this influencer, or whatever. It's very difficult to stay centered, to have a goal, and to be clean and clear with it. It's very difficult to tread lightly on the earth in this day, because so much is going on. And so for me, that is my understanding of what the Sharia is, of what the law is, of what outer practices are. There are scholars that will debate what is the law for this day in this circumstance. We know that actually both traditions very, very much revere Prophet David. Daud is what he's called in Arabic, as being given great wisdom and discernment, and Solomon as well, in discerning. And there's more written about him in the Islamic lineage, about the cases and the way that he would learn to discern these things in very specific instances. It's not easy, but being someone who can stay clean and clear and who cannot be motivated by themselves or pulled by money or influence or anything like that is something that takes a lifetime of work to do. And it takes also practices within, ethics within, and practices and certain ethics without in your behavior. There's nothing wrong with that. I think you could say something about if it's forced in a nation or in a land. What do you feel about that? There are a lot of debates in the West about the separation of church and state. But yeah, what is the Sharia? Is it scary? And I would also say, for the things and images that we see in the West, about what we are told that it says to do and that its law says to do. I just was reading yesterday, read the Quran for yourself. To me, it's pretty obvious what is in the heart, what is the heart of it. Maybe that's just myself, but it is a book of mercy. It is a book of love. But it's also a book that says, it makes no kind of, it doesn't sugarcoat things. It basically, lets you know that if you are selfish, if you are hurting others, if you are motivated by very base things, you have no idea what you are doing to yourself in the greater scheme of things. The greater scheme of things, what I mean by that is way beyond this life. We are eternal beings, and we are harming things that are far beyond what we are in this life. So to take care and to actually be really intentional and to forgive and to tread lightly. I hope that answers a little bit of meaning or intent behind Sharia. It's actually a beautiful thing, the way to the water. I find that as I walk, that there are things that I am spoken within, that I'm asked to do, that are unique to me. And I hold them because they are outer practices, they're outer errands, they're outer this, that, or the other. I actually hold them as it's Allah's Sharia to me for that day or for that period. So I hope that's helpful. These are all gifts to us, and I hope that dissipates some of the fear, the terror around some of this stuff. Please read primary sources. Please search these things out for yourself. Do not take what you hear on the media, on the news. Do not take what you hear from some commentary or some person on TV that is commenting on something, unless they are a scholar. And even then, go look it up for yourself. You have the time. The time is worth it. Assalamu alaikum.